I've got 5:30, so I will call the meeting to order. See if you please do roll call.
Yeah, Steve Herron,
Here.
Carol Honko, here, Nicole Jacobs, here, Gina Brown,
Here.
Dennis Workmeister.
Here. All here, great. Would you please join me in Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Our next agenda item is approval of the agenda. I would entertain a motion for approval.
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda.
I'll second.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say aye. Motion carries. Third item on the agenda is our public forum. Is there anybody here from the public that wants to speak? Do you want to speak, Marty, or are you just here to observe and listen?
I was just wanting to make sure that we'd like to get the runway repaired with some, fill in the cracks. And I talked to Todd Egdorf, who happened to be going to the engineers meeting that day, and asked about like when they fill in the cracks on the blacktops, like south of Paullina. They did it several years ago. And anyway, the outfit that's going to be up there doing that has eventually been out to the airport with Brian Feltman, and I think he came up with a bid of he'd do that for $15,000, fill all the cracks. And it's more than just tar the crack, it's like they fill it in with, I think it's I can't remember the name. It's more than just tar. It's got sand or something mixed in with it, so it makes it so it's smooth. And it would be $3,000 less now because they're up here versus, making a special trip. So now is the time to do it, and do it before things deteriorate anymore. And I think there's plenty of money from the elevators kicking in the 25 cents an acre do I dare say what, I was told last summer they did 74,000 acres, so that's over 18,000 that the city got from Ag State, I believe. That's what Taylor texted Brian. And then we go back clear, Steve Lusher got that 25 cents a deal going probably close to 18 years ago. And so the runway was totally, resurfaced, new asphalt 15 years ago. And the city actually was on the hook for, I think, 20,000 of that, which turns out the 25 cents an acre from the elevators paid for that. And I think it's been, cracks have been sealed twice since, which amounted to somewhere, maybe 25 to 30,000. And so there should be, between talking to Brian Fish and Brian Feltman, knowing the time element, should be over a couple $100,000 that the elevators, paid the city over the years to go towards runway maintenance. Last year, I didn't even think they did that much compared to some other years. I was shocked when I heard 74,000 acres. That's a lot of acres. And I think that's pretty representative of most years, 60 to 70,000. And this year, I'm not going to do that many acres, but
Sure.
it's been pretty consistent, for the last 15 years or so.
Okay, well, thanks for that information. We will take that information under advisement as we look at that
What's that?
I said we will take that information under advisement as we look.
Yeah,
at-
I don't know how far back, as I remember, see, it was, in 2020 is when we kind of figured out that the elevators, after Steve, passed away in 16, that the elevators didn't pay, but then they went back and figured out stuff, and then I think in 2020, they did write a check for the 3 or 4 years that kind of got forgotten about.
Okay.
So that came up to date, and then I assume they've been paying, 3 years ago, and that they wrote a check last fall for the, like 18,600.
Okay. Thanks for the info, appreciate that.
Okay, that's,
All right, thank you. Anybody else here? Next item is our agenda item number 4, consent agenda. I would entertain a motion for approval of the consent agenda.
I'll make a motion for approval of the consent agenda for this evening.
All those in favor of approval of the consent agenda, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say aye. Carried. All right, under city announcements, this is a carryover from last month. Do we have anything new on this, do you know, Alex? Has there been any questions that have been received from people that might have watched it? Okay. So the lead pipe inventory, that information has gone out in the newsletter, as we know that we probably received today in the mail. Some pump discharge there as well. So those people watching, if you please look at that and fill out that lead pipe inventory, and then also make sure your sump pump is not discharging to drains inside your home, to the outside, to alleviate extra pressure on our overall sanitary sewer system. Does anybody else have any city announcements? Okay. Item number 6. Consider approval of Camden Stevens for volunteer firefighter. Get that, Ryan, our fire chief, submitted his brief information in your packet. I entertain a motion from someone to approve Camden as a volunteer firefighter.
I'll make a motion to approve Camden Stevens for volunteer firefighter.
I'll second that.
Any comments, discussion, questions? Who is
Yeah.
he?
Brad
I'm with
Stevens'
you.
son?
I don't know Kim.
Who's?
Brad Stevens, he's the deputy.
Oh,
Stevens.
okay.
Brooke, she works at the courthouse. Yep, I don't, what is her last name now?
Scrapping?
Yes.
Brooke is mom. Brooke is his mom?
Yep.
Okay.
Well, she would be as well.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yep.
I was gonna say, this, there's a change over there. The split. Oh, so I thought maybe she was. No, I'm pretty sure.
Young kid, old kid,
Brad and her.
old kid.
20? You probably would be able to look.
Yeah, that's why I was wondering.
Yeah, about 20.
The guy 18, no, we're going to, for junior, they don't.
Junior,
Is he a junior?
he's already graduated.
No, he's already out.
Yep.
He's 20 years old.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay, any questions? Any other
I don't know.
comments? So hearing none, I assume we're ready to vote. All in favor of Camden as a volunteer firefighter, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say aye. Carried. All right. Item number 7, consider approval of town and country contract. Actually, we had some questions that Michelle, our clerk, went back to them with. They didn't have answers to us on that yet. A longer contract, 16 pages, etc. Ran it by our city attorney, Tisha Halverson. She had some questions. Those went back to him, and we don't have a response back. However, what I would like us to do, so that we don't have a gap, and Town and Country has agreed that as a council, we could entertain a motion to extend our current contract until the new contract is signed for up to 30 to 60 days, probably just 30 days. That way, that way we have a contract. We're just not ready to approve the first one yet because they need to get some information back that Tish wanted, so they don't know the specifics.
What was it, say, what were the questions?
Can we get a copy of it?
Yes. Would you have those questions sent out?
Thank you.
Yep.
I'll make a motion to that effect.
So motion to extend our current contract.
30 days or 60?
Let's go 30 days.
Okay, 30 days.
I'll second.
Okay, any other discussion? Questions, comments?
They were okay with extending the current contract, or?
Yeah, they got back to us. We have that in email. We wanted to make sure that we had clarification from them that they're okay with that. They're fine. They emailed Michelle Friday or today.
You're gonna send us the questions?
Hearing no other discussion or questions, I assume we're vote. All in favor of extending the current contract for up to 30 days, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say aye. Carried, all ayes. All right, our agenda item number 8 is consider approval of airport manager. We do have some information in your packet. If our airport committee would talk to that a little.
Sure. Right now, Brian is in the mix for airport manager. Hopefully you got a copy of that. Okay. Got a copy of what you have in your packets. And I guess at this point, we're in negotiations as to the points on it. Yeah. So, we're that far along in negotiations with this, what you have in front of you, and then what Brian has.
So we've got 2 pages attached, it looks like. One is the agreement, that also refers to the job description, responsibilities attached.
That's what it is.
And that's in our copy.
Hello,
Wow.
I'm awake. Brian, did you want to make any comment?
Not really. No, I mean, I'm fine so far. I haven't really, I read it.
I figured
got
you'd getting back late.
I got last night, so it's thinking about it's,
Well, when you're ready to, just let me know, and Gene and I'll get together with you.
yeah, that sounds great.
Okay.
One thought, so the job description responsibilities lists the airport manager's responsibilities and also towards the bottom, the city of Paullina responsibilities. One thing you might want to consider as a council, under number 4, support the airport financially according to the yearly budget supplied by the airport manager. You might want to add and approved by the city council on that, just to make sure that there's no disagreement or anything there.
Number 4 there.
It's up to you.
Nope, I think that's a good idea.
What did you say, Marlo, in number 4 there?
Number 4, add after manager and approved by the city council.
Okay.
Have you been going out there then, Brian, all this while? Marty? You both are? Okay.
What's that? She asked if we've been mowing out there.
I mean, I know it's been mowed, but I just didn't know who was doing it.
I think it looks pretty good.
I do too.
Yeah, I do
I think it looks nice. I didn't know if you have horses out there or what.
That might be helpful.
Well, you'd have more
See
fun
that.
maybe.
That fence might get in the way of.
So is the city responsible for drawing up the contract for the elevator for like what we're gonna charge per acre?
Well, I thought we set one up,
That's a good
remember,
question.
a few years ago.
What time of year do we contract with the elevator? Do you guys know?
We have never, it's the city's, we haven't done that before, to my knowledge.
Well, we set one up a couple
I
of
think
years
Brian
ago.
Oh,
was
did you?
supposed to try
Leases and
to,
stuff.
not you, Brian, the other Brian was supposed to try to do it last
Right,
year.
well, a couple of years.
And we were gonna do 35 cents, but
Right.
we
It
only
was
got
set up at
25
35.
cents, so.
And then, yeah, that would have been 2 years ago.
What's that about the 25 cents?
Right,
They're trying to line up contracts
yeah,
for,
because
So we
we
need to
thought
look into that.
Brian was
I
handing
thought we
those
had
out to
some,
the
but I
sprayers.
don't know.
Well, there was supposed to have been something done,
Got
yes.
any information on that, Steve?
Yeah, I don't know, if the city can, I think they can have an agreement, and it could be a written agreement, like a gentleman's agreement,
Right.
for them to, give something for, and then if we agree on an amount, but I don't know that the city technically can do the contract.
And why would that, why can't the contract city for use of their
Because, I don't think that, yeah, I don't know if it has to do, if we would want to get grants or anything to that effect. That's just some information that I heard, I don't know that for a fact. So,
Possibly, as a public airport, there are probably restrictions on what you can charge for, would be my guess, I don't know for sure.
yeah, I mean,
If you were a private airport, you could specify it's gonna cost this, this, and this for anybody who wants to do anything, but as a public airport, I would suspect there are limitations on it.
Well, when I talked to the gal from Spencer, she said they charge all the time, but they actually have them pick up their gas there and stuff, and so does Sioux Center.
Well, I'm just spitballing, but.
Yeah,
we sell fuel too, I mean, we have fuel out there that pilots buy. And then there's fuel
I
that
didn't think you did.
But the sprayers don't.
the
They bring their own
sprayers have
fuel.
their own fuel.
Yes, they bring their own.
Yeah, but we have fuel that pilots can.
100 low lead, none of the sprayers would.
We use
Right.
that.
They furnish everything that they use. It's like Sheldon requires they gotta buy the jet fuel, kerosene for the
Sure.
turbine engines from the, whoever, is running the Sheldon Airport.
Right.
So the 25 cents is basically, it was just a donation. It's like nothing official because it is a public airport. I mean, anybody can land and take off there. And so Steve just got it set up that, we'll just donate this and it's nothing really official, nothing in writing. It's just that, at the end of the season, the elevator says, we did X amount of acres and we'll hand out 25 cents an acre sprayed so that we can keep this runway in shape for, the future.
I would like to hear what Mary has to say.
My recollection, the last time this topic of conversation, almost just like this came up, it came down, actually Nate reminded me, that if the city charges anyone, they have to charge everyone the same because it's public.
It's just kind of like a gentleman's agreement. I mean, nothing in writing, but, they've been kicking in quite a bit of money after each season, except for,
Sure.
those few, and that got caught up, so. Just,
We had an issue like in '22. There's a gentleman from Cherokee, wasn't it, Woodley? Where was he from? He paid 35 cents an acre, and then Ag State only paid 25 cents an acre, because we checked into that, Gene and I did. And so, because we thought that had been set up as 35 cents. So, it was kind of a,
And our previous city clerk did have a contract. I don't know for a fact if the contract ever was signed or if that turned into something, but they did pay. But then it got there was kind of a gray area of how the city could charge and if they could do that and if they should be doing that. And so then I think the next year, then that didn't happen.
right, it didn't, just just went to the 25 cents then,
Yeah.
whatever you guys
I
did.
mean, I don't remember all the details, but I don't think it happened the next year, but the previous clerk did speak with Gerald at that owns the spray plane company. And visited with him about it, and he agreed to paying that 25 cent amount at that time.
So does anybody know if that's by code or statute or whatever?
The
Yeah,
equivalency.
the equivalency.
I think that's why they, I don't know if they're actually in the code, but that was my recollection of what it was, taking donations, voluntary contribution for use. That was the reason why they didn't, and I think they would not sign a contract.
Well, that's what Steve and I were just talking about, was the so-called donation to the city for the use of the airport.
Yeah.
So what other revenue does the airport bring in then, besides this donation that could or could not be consistent?
Nothing.
Well, the planes are out there, don't they charge
That goes
rent?
to the flying club, yeah.
So then is the flying club, are they required to pay for like maintenance out there since the revenue is being directed to you then? Or how does that work? Is everything just on the city? Yes to what?
Everything you said. My understanding, and you guys chime in here if you know, but, the flying club takes care of the maintenance and the city takes care of it financially. That's my understanding. Is that pretty close? I know there's other times they probably switched around, but we do have, I should say the city does have, budgeted each year for activities at the airport.
Basically just for the person that does the work, like when Brian did it, now for this Brian to do it.
No, it's more than that,
Oh, is it?
yeah.
I didn't think it was much
The
more.
budget
I thought this
is,
last one was 10,000?
budget
I didn't
is
think it was that much.
32,000
Really?
this
Brian.
year,
Whoa.
with, certain things included in there.
What are those certain things though that are included in that budget? I know, and it's a lot, but I think there's some nitty gritty that we need to get down to
One of
the
the things
airport.
so
Well,
basically
this
our
has
action,
nothing to do with the,
our action item is to appoint a manager. It sounds like what we should do is for our next meeting, have an airport business financial
I
discussion.
think that's a good.
well, I've got all that information, I'm just saying this isn't the place to be saying it, because this is a particular line item.
Exactly, yeah.
Okay.
We'll put an
Right.
agenda item on for the
Okay,
next
you do
meeting.
it for the next time.
The way I sort of look at it is if you just were conservative and said the elevator paid 15,000.
They're not on that yet. They're not on that yet.
Okay, so back to our agenda item, this is considering approval of an airport manager. Which you have that information in your packet. It's stated as, it's drafted as 5,000 a year with the responsibilities that are on the attached page.
Is that enough for those, or, I'll wait for discussion, I guess.
So, do we want, does somebody, I entertain a motion to approve this if we have a name to put in the manager slot, which is currently blank in our attachment.
Do we have a motion on the floor?
No.
We don't have a motion on the floor. But somebody could make a motion to name a manager. As laid out in your attached information.
Do we have someone that's interested in a manager, that as a manager?
Is there, our airport committee have discussions on, we have had discussions on that, I believe.
Yes,
Yeah, with Al.
with Brian, yeah.
Okay.
But we're not to that point yet of signing anything, I don't think. You wanna look?
I just haven't looked at it.
Okay. So then, we don't have a motion on the table, so we have to the table, we could just defer this item to the next meeting.
I'll move to postpone the item to the next meeting.
Table it.
Nope, postpone.
What's a postpone?
We're gonna do it later.
So just basically reschedule this agenda item for
To
the
next
next meeting.
meeting.
With the table, you gotta have a motion on the floor.
Oh,
With
I didn't know
postpone,
that.
you don't have to.
Okay.
I'm hoping that
I'll second that.
Any other discussion on that? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say aye. Carried with all ayes. Make a note, so we can make a note for next.
So with
agenda.
that, will that contract
our contract agreement.
be agreement? Will that be specific to the person that will be taking?
Yes.
If that's what the council approves.
But like if this was previous, the 5,000 was a previous agreement, correct?
There's nothing agreed upon yet.
But the
In-
previous
in-
airport manager, this
Less-
wasn't?
Less than that.
Less than that.
Oh, okay.
Less than that. Like 2,000 something.
Okay,
About that.
Yep,
we'll bring, we'll go on next
yep.
meeting, and we'll talk about, discuss that in detail. All right, item number 9, resolution to approve vector representative. Does everybody know what vector representative? I didn't.
Safety.
Never heard of it.
Yep. NCC, right?
It's our safety,
Safety
Should
pin.
say,
safety program. She does 11 different towns.
Okay, so this one is appointing our representative to that group. My understanding is that you have been that person in our, and will continue to be that potentially if the council decides.
Yep. And Caden has been the alternate.
So you
He's
got a,
willing to do.
so you got a resolution attached with a no name in there, that would be Kelly as our representative and Caden as an alternative for council's consideration, of course. Caden's an alternate. Fill those in. I would entertain a motion to approve this resolution.
I'll present the resolution for designation of authorized representation for the Vector Agency. Whereas the city of Paullina, Iowa has entered into an agreement to establish the Vector Agency, and as a member therefore is entitled to a representative who shall represent the municipal utility in the agency. Be it resolved by the city of Paullina Council that Kelly is hereby authorized and appointed as representative of the city of Paullina, Iowa, to represent the municipal utility in the business of the agency, with the powers, duties, and responsibilities as provided in this agreement. The alternative representative would be Caden, is hereby authorized and appointed with equal powers.
Okay, with putting the last names in, Kelly Top and Caden Hewitt.
Yes, Kelly Top and Caden Hewitt.
So we have a motion by Steve, we have a second.
I'll second.
All right, any discussion, questions?
Is this person is a lady, I think that's been doing this? Has she been quite a long time?
Yep, well, she's done it, half a dozen years probably,
Okay.
something like that.
And does she come monthly or how often?
We do training monthly during like from fall to spring, and then she does monthly visits.
We just had CPR first aid last
She
one.
does her CPR, first aid, and bloodborne pathogens and all the stuff we're required to have by,
Make sure you're all up.
So is Vector a private company, or are they government supported, or?
their city supported. All the cities pitch in to
Oh, okay.
pay her wages and whatnot.
Okay.
this is naming our representative and alternate representative. Any other questions on that, or ready to vote? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
It's
Roll call.
resolution.
Roll call.
Resolution,
Okay, Steve Herron,
Aye.
Carol Hunkell,
aye.
Nicole Jacobs,
Aye.
Jean Enra,
Aye.
Dennis Workmeister.
Aye.
That motion to approve this resolution passes. All right. Agenda item number 10, resolution to set the public hearing for switchgear distribution improvements for August 5th at 5:30. You've got on the table, not in your packet, but on the table, in front of your resolution packet, a resolution setting the time and place. So this one is the third part, right, Kelly? We had the equipment, we had the installation of the equipment, and then this is the cost of distributing the power that comes through that equipment into the city.
So where will it sit then? Same place as the previous station or?
The distribution part of it,
Yeah.
those 3 poles right in front of the light plant,
Yep.
that will in turn be gone after we're done. Everything's gonna get kicked out down the road instead of everything all bundled up in one area.
You got the equipment that sits in the little building, right? And then you have to, and then this is really connected into the city, right? In an underground fashion.
Yep.
From the current substation to the 3 poles?
The 3 poles go away.
Yep.
Yep.
But there's still a junction there, so.
Yep.
Right. So I would entertain a motion to approve this resolution. And to present it as such.
So this is for the public hearing, right?
This is a public hearing.
I'll move the resolution to set a public hearing for switchgear distribution improvements for August 5, 2024 at 5:30 PM at the city offices.
Do we have a second?
A second.
So is there. So in your packet, you do have some information on this, what wasn't in. So basically, you got the notice of public hearing in your packet, and then a notice to bidders in your packet. What wasn't in your packet is the resolution setting that public hearing, authorizing it by the council. So you get some more information here on it. So when we set the public hearing, the DGR will also go out to bid, bring those bids back to this council after the public hearing.
So we have the public hearing and then I think the same night do the.
Any questions or discussion on setting that public hearing? It's a process we have to do because otherwise the switchgear doesn't do anything for us. Okay, hearing no questions, I assume we're ready to vote. This is a resolution, so Alex, would you do a roll call?
Steve Herron,
Aye.
Carol Hunkell,
Aye.
Nicole Jacobs,
Aye.
Jean Enra,
Aye.
Dennis Workmeister. Our next agenda item, it really, excuse me, the next 4 agenda items are ongoing discussion and
You got enough for you?
ongoing discussion and potential decisions on our utility rates. We
discussed those at length at last meeting, followed up with updated rate information after meeting to all the council members. So we've got, in the resolution packet, there are drafted resolutions to get the legal wording together that we got from our city attorney just this afternoon. And basically, it's the resolutions without dates or rates in there. What I would recommend is that if the council's ready to set rates, that you would discuss and approve rates that could then be incorporated into the final draft of the ordinances as you have drafted with any potential adjustments. I think there's, for example, I think there's one in here that this probably goes back to the way our ordinances were in our ordinance book, but it doesn't necessarily line up quite with what our current rates are. The first one of the electric rates, the way this is drafted up doesn't have the seasonality built into it. I'm not sure if it has to have the seasonal adjustment in here. But we have seasonally adjusted rates now. So my recommendation would be that the council approve rates to be then drafted into an ordinance, and then you could, at the next meeting, for example, approve those and then have it be the readings versus, I don't think we're ready for the reading of this tonight being the first reading because we don't have the final drafted ordinances. So, if you're okay with that, these would be basically not, these are action items, these wouldn't be the final resolutions to amend the garbage rates and the other type rates, but it would be a motion to set the rates and draft the ordinances. So, what it really then comes down to is a potential final rate discussion to establish and set those rates. So does everybody have that copy, a copy of what was said at the last meeting? So item 11 was garbage rates, so let's talk about garbage rates first. Our existing garbage rates are $13.50 for residential and $30 for commercial, regardless of if commercial is a blue bin or a dumpster. The rates that we talked about and we sent out after the meeting then were increasing residential potentially from $13.50 to $15, and then commercial raising the $30 to $33.50 for a dumpster, but adding also a commercial blue bin rate at the same rate as what the residential is for a blue bin at $15. Those adjustments then cover our upcoming fiscal year budget. The budget is 109.5, and that those rates should generate about $114,000.
Well, that's pretty much my contract too, right?
Right.
What's a little over what's budgeted?
Just over what's budgeted.
So I got just a general question. So when do these rates go into effect, and when it gets through the ordinance process and all that, then the next billing will be for the fixed rates that they go with?
Yeah, basically, so if we, there's no Iowa code requirement of a certain amount of time notification, but you do have to go through the ordinance process. So you have to have readings of the ordinances. So if we approve the rates tonight, we can have the final drafts of the ordinances at the next meeting in July, which also then can be classified or count as the first reading. And then we can, either waive the second and the third, or have the second, potentially waive the third, or also have the third. And then, in that process, we need to decide, the council needs to decide not just what these rates are and what the effective date of the rates will be.
Thank you.
So I would entertain a motion to set the adjusted garbage rates for Paullina.
So do we need to fill in these amounts?
Well, these are the drafts of the ordinance amendments.
Yeah.
We ultimately will fill those in. Basically, we'll give the direction to our city attorney to fill in and do the final wording
Oh,
versus the first draft. So we don't need to read, if we're not gonna consider this one to be the actual ordinance amendment action right now, we don't need to actually fill those rates in. We just need to document what our action is on what those rates are going to be and then go through the process.
So the residential will be 15, commercial will be 33.50, and then what was the blue?
The blue dumpster for commercial was also what we talked about last. It's whatever you guys want it, whatever the council wants it to be, but we currently have this 15 as well. So a blue dumpster, no matter if it's commercial or residential, is 15, and then the dumpster, the blue bin, and then the dumpster is 33.50, plus the overages.
We pay no difference to town and country because they're just on a tonnage at the,
Correct.
whatever that's called, dump site.
Yep.
Okay.
And if they have a commercial blue bin, if I'm understanding, they'll get picked up once a week, just like the residentials. That's what I'm only. Okay.
Town and Country said, Michelle talked to them, and they said they'll sometimes see a commercial blue dumpster and pick it up on Thursday. This would mean that they probably wouldn't do it. Hardly anybody does it, and they don't have a blue dumpster truck here on Thursdays. They have a bin truck here on Thursdays.
Right.
So that's the one, so we decided to do it. So, does anybody want to make a motion on our garbage rates?
I'll make a motion to approve the rates that you've got on this sheet.
Say those, so.
$15 for residential, the $33.50 for dumpster, and the commercial blue bin, also $15.
I'll second that.
Any other discussion?
so then we'll do the ordinance, resolution for the ordinance at a following meeting.
At the next meeting, correct, yep. So the action item was to act on those resolutions, since none of us have seen those until this afternoon. And this will be just approving those rates, and then the attorney prefers to have all those rates available so that they can do the final ordinance for staff on it. So this is not a resolution vote that we're taking right now. This is a motion to set those rates and draft the ordinances.
Okay.
So Carol made the motion, Gene seconded it. Any other discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say aye. Carried. All right.
But we're not really doing a resolution.
This is a motion to set the rates to be drafted into the resolution.
Okay,
So your agenda says resolution, we're not doing resolution.
Just doing a regular
okay.
motion.
All right, item number 12 is same thing for sewer rates. Currently, we are at residential of $12 for the first 1,000 gallons or less. The next
2,000 to 15,000 gallons is $6, no for that is $3. What we talked about last time was to increase that to 20 for the first 1,000 gallons or less, $6.90 for the 2 to 15,000, and $3.45 for 16,000 gallons plus. That's for residential. Actually, that's the same for residential and commercial. We don't have a differentiation between residential, commercial, and sewer. So we entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve the amendment of the sewer rate ordinance, the new rate of $20, and then $6.90 for 2,015 gallons, and $3.45 for 16,000 plus gallons, both for residential and commercial.
All right, I have a motion and a second.
I'll second.
Any discussion?
Can you say something?
Any discussion? Questions, comments? Danny, you're just wanting to say something.
He's
You
thinking.
can see it.
I think he's thinking.
Or are you ready to vote?
Trying to get it into words. The current budget that we have is covered. Because we're able to make those numbers even or flat or whatever you call it. So the raise in utility costs is for what purpose?
When you say we have our budget covered,
Well, in our budgeting process, we made sure that all of our expenses were covered, right? I mean, that's why you budget.
theoretically, right?
Theoretically, right, I would agree with that. So theoretically speaking then, is when we look at our utility costs and raising rates, which, you know, I'm in favor of doing that, look at that law. But I'm just, thinking that with where we're at, that we'd have to be reasonable, because not only are we raising our rates, but electric rates, garbage rates, and gas rates are gonna be raised, last I read, about 11%. So, it's in favor, I'm just wondering if percentage, if we could lower the percentage, since we have our budget covered. And these would actually be coming into our accounts to allow us to do more through our accounts. Right now, from what I've got here in front of me, the sewer checking is at about 308,000. So, not a lot of money, but a good little balance to where maybe we can lower the percentage.
What we don't, so basically if you take our sewer budget, our sewer revenues aren't currently gonna cover our sewer budget. As a city, our budget is balanced, but that's taking our general assessed, so if you take your utility costs and then the other costs of running the city, street repair, et cetera, that aren't our utilities, they're just our city overhead. Right now, some of the dollars that would otherwise be used for things like streets and potholes and things like that are gonna go and supplement the sewer revenue that we're charging directly for that to cover our sewer budget. Because right now, if you look on your sheet there, if you look at our current rates under sewer, under the annual revenue column, under the current category, that calculates out to about $165,000.
cost you there.
Okay, so you see at the top, the heading, I've got,
Okay, I got you now.
okay,
Okay.
so 165,000. Our budget is 220. Right on the right-hand column.
So that's where we're short.
So we're short $55,000, and that would come out of other types of things that when we, that's why we have a hard time having enough dollars to do the other things in our city other than utilities. So typically cities look at utilities and want your build utilities to cover the costs of that. So that's why we're looking at this.
Gotcha.
The 220,345 in the budget for the sewer, that includes the cost of the aerators?
No,
It's not.
that does not. Cost of the aerators was built up to be covered out of funds that were accumulated in the past. But that 345, actually the 345 can't be the 220 because we're gonna pay the full 345 this year.
So 3 or 45,000 for that?
$45,000 for the aeration.
Okay, part of that comes from ARPA,
Right.
Right,
and then just some reserves.
yep, correct.
So what we're asking then is, with these increasing rates, to reduce or at least lessen the impact of the need to transfer from other accounts that were our sewer expense.
Correct. That would be correct.
So is there any room at all? Because the rates, even with what we're asking, the accounts aren't gonna grow that quickly. It's gonna be slow growth over not months, but probably years, as we look at our rates, probably every year now. Since we're in this situation, I think.
They theoretically should be looked at every year, not necessarily, and raised when needed, if needed, probably to some extent, so we don't have to have large increases.
Well, and that's what I'm wondering here, is if we can look at this as a years-long process instead of a one-year process. And maybe reduce that percentage just.
We kind of talked about that at our workshop though, didn't we?
Yeah.
It's that, or if,
I think we did.
Yeah, I
I
think
think we kind of,
we just
explain
feel it's
that.
gotta be done, or we're gonna be short. Too many places.
And we may not like it, but
No, right, but I think we're being pretty, as short, as little as we can do.
some of us too.
Yeah, I'd expect, and all of the raises that we're gonna see are gonna be coming, or have been coming.
okay, so.
I'm right with you.
Nicole-
I am ready.
So Nicole, made the motion, Jean has seconded the motion. If you're ready to vote, or if somebody wants to call the vote, call the motion. It sounds like you may be ready to vote. Okay, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, aye.
I'm gonna say aye.
2 nays.
2 nays, 3 ayes. All right. Okay, we'll move on to item number 13. Oh, that motion passes with 3 ayes, 2 nays. Item number 13 is electric rates. We've got the information in front of you, what it was, what these rates would be. So residential one from 15, the base rate of 15 to 18.
So I'll entertain a motion. Or no, it's not a motion, a second, just the opportunity to discuss it.
I'll move.
Motion by Jimmy, and a second.
Hang on.
What?
Hang on.
Hang on.
Yeah.
I think I heard you say I'll move.
He said motion.
Yeah.
Move or something.
I heard it too.
Yeah. Does he have to read it all out?
So Denny moved it, the motion. Is there a second? Or is it?
I'll move that our electric rates
Right here.
Yeah, you have to go from 15 to 18.
What I'm changing.
He's gonna do
That's
it.
what she is for letting me do a motion.
Yeah.
Nobody else is second.
I'm going to, yeah, that's true too. Go to 10% increase, so that'd be for residential would be $16.50 if I'm doing my math right for a 10% increase. And leaving commercial at what it is.
What's commercial at?
Commercial is at 33.60 new rates. Correct?
New rate's 33.60. So what it was saying over again, what you're doing, Denny?
I am saying the new rate for electrical, residential electrical would be $16.50. And commercial would stay the same at $33.60.
33.60.
It's the same,
Oh,
it's on the
same.
sheet. I'm just reducing the residential by 10%, or increasing, however you want to look at it.
Okay, so we have a motion. Everybody understanding those rates, I think, as you're following along in your spreadsheet. We have a second to Denny's motion.
A second.
All right. Open the discussion with council.
The reason I did that is, I'm going back to the letter from Missouri River where they encouraged us to do a 3-step process. First year, 8 to 10%, and then next year 10%, and then the following year 10%. So I was just bringing us in line with what their proposal was to us, or suggestion, I guess, to us.
Did they encourage us to do that, or did they say that would be a way to potentially phase in and get what we want?
I think both. Yeah.
So you just took 10% of the $15.
Yes,
So your buck and a half is all you've changed, right?
right,
Is the $16.50.
right.
So are you wanting to do the 10% for like all three, or just that,
Just the base
just the
rate.
customer charge?
Just the service charge, right?
His motion was just the service charge, I
Was
believe.
it?
I'm sorry, the base rate.
And you were leaving
Yeah, the base
commercial
rate.
alone.
Just the base?
Base
Yeah,
rate.
Just the base rate.
Okay.
Commercial was okay. So the $18 is the only one you changed.
Right.
So now we do have the switch gear though, that is
Big bucks.
big bucks. It is $1.50,
Or
that.
$3.
Well, but if we bring it to
No.
$16.50 to go up to $18.50, it's $1.50 for a customer charge. Going to be that big of an inconvenience where it could potentially start getting us into a more comfier.
Yeah, because that's next year's big dollar.
So what is that, what is the currently
15,
15?
yeah, commercial 28. Then we got a big money, project going on right now.
Yes. And it would be nice to be a little ahead of the game rather than to have to come back in 6 months and change it. Can we even do that? We could.
So you
We
can
just have to
change
go through
rates.
the process again.
Yeah.
Thing to keep in mind though, is the 1.5 mil bond that we're gonna go after, right? We're supposed to take care of that deficit.
Yeah, the council has not decided to go after that yet, but we will be discussing that, I'm sure. Any questions or discussion on that motion that would have the residential rate at 1650? All the other rates as on your spreadsheet would be, so basically your motion is to, includes all of those rates as stated except the residential rate of 1650, right, Andy?
Say again, no?
I said, your motion, your motion would be to approve all of these rates as stated on your spreadsheet, except the residential rate, 1650 instead of 18.
Correct.
No,
That change in residential base rate, that change in residential base rate, lowers our annual revenue from about $1,174,000 to $1,164,000, so that's about a $10,000 change. So then rather than covering our $1.166 million budget and a little cushion, it would come $2,000 short of covering that $1,166,000 budget for this year. All right, any other discussion? Are you ready to vote?
I think it would be prudent, I think this would be prudent for us to do this, not only for, I understand we'd be a little short on the budget, but mainly for our customers. I mean, everything's increasing. We're seeing that increase throughout our economy. And I think if we can do this, this would be prudent for us to do for our customers. And then look at it again next year, and stay on top of the rate increases in general. That's what we're here for, is, our customers and our residents of the city. Don't want to make, my feeling is, I don't think we should make this overwhelming for some of the people, and it could be.
Fortunately, it will be, but we're all in the same boat, and we also haven't done rate increases for quite a few years on a lot of these.
I understand that, but we're not all necessarily in the same boat. We all have different incomes.
We definitely do.
There's people on fixed incomes. There's people that work for wages that aren't at the wage scale, that for these businesses in town aren't at the wage scale for like businesses in larger cities. But the inflation is hitting our community just like it is other larger cities. So if there's something that we can do, this is something that we can do.
And what did you figure out? You just figured out the difference? It was
About 10,000 a year then, just under 10,000, if we drop that $1.50 to the 16.50 instead of the 18. So that's what we would be bringing in less, 10,000.
And then if we're 2,000 short on that project, that would have to come out of the general fund, or how does that work?
Well, when you say on a project, well, that puts us 2,000 less than our electric budget.
Our electric
Not the
budget.
project. The switchgear project is separate,
Yep,
using up reserves funded in the past.
okay.
Looking at potentially fulfilling those
this one, if you just look at our current one fiscal year budget costs, and then these rates should come very close to covering it, just short a couple $1,000 versus being in excess of $8,000, very small percentages for both of those.
Can I, go ahead, Steve.
Even at that, this increase, this 1650 increase in residential is still better than what we had last year for our electric budget. It's still a good move forward.
Any other comments,
Can we
discussion?
afford to do that, to drop the percentages?
It's not that big of a drop, but I guess when I see all our little communities around here, and they're all
Yeah,
above us,
higher.
and they've got the same type of people that we have in our little town.
And our demographics are, what was it?
For which one?
The demographics that I had given you are
Okay.
50, the most populated in Paullina was, what, 50 to 60? Is that what it was?
I think it was actually lower than that.
Was it lower than that? So it's still working, you know,
Working people, yeah.
If they can find work.
yeah, I think people in town, I think they are.
The way I look at it, if we can give a little bit this go around, then whatever we need to do the next go around is maybe a little more palatable. Because we're asking, each resident to pick up $17 additional dollars, or roughly right in there.
Oh, for everything, you mean?
Yeah, for everything. But that, again, I said this before, but I'll say it again, that does not include the gas costs that they've got inflated in there. So, $17 is $17.
We're at 16, so. Consumptions.
All right, any other discussion? Anybody else have any comments? Or are you ready to vote? I assume you're ready to vote. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Is that two? All opposed, say aye.
Aye.
So that motion fails. So now what do you do as a council to discuss what you want to do with the rates?
Can I have a motion on the floor?
I would entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to stay with the $18 for the residential monthly service charge and the $33.60 for the commercial.
I'll second.
Okay, more discussion on that motion.
I just think the $1.50 is not gonna be that big of a jump. I don't know, it's,
Still a tough decision.
it
either
i-
way.
it is, yeah, you can
And
empathize and everything, but at this point, I don't know, I think because next year, and I think for previous years, what do we want it to do, 3% every year then, after that, isn't that what was suggested?
3 to 5.
3 to 5?
I believe says
So,
keep up with inflation. Okay, any other discussion?
What do we have in town for assistance for people? Do we have anything?
No, most people use like Upper Des Moines, and
Okay.
maybe some from her.
And do you have a lot of customers, who utilize that?
Not a huge amount,
Okay.
but I know that the amount that they're able to give to residents is lowering just because of funding. So they're getting like less amount that they have access to.
Another net increase in cost for residents.
Yeah.
keep in mind, at the last meeting when we put these rates together, these were not necessarily recommended rates, they were just rates that, a combination of rates that we need to cover the budgets, cover estimate costs. Any other questions, comments, salary position? Hearing none, I assume we're ready to vote. All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say aye.
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 Three ayes, 2 nays, that motion is approved, that passes. Okay. Item number 14, water rates. So we've got our base residential rate, 2016 to 24. Base commercial rate went from $20.16 to 24. Both of those. I guess, water, we don't have the difference between commercial and residential. Same rates for residential, commercial, usage is different, of course. And then we have the irrigation service charge for those dozen or so irrigation meters in town. So I would entertain a motion.
But we got two different rates going here, right? Oh, no, residential, commercial.
Residential, commercial.
Never mind.
So I would entertain a motion regarding setting water rates.
I'll make a motion setting the water rates at $24, base rate for commercial and residential.
With the accompanying
With the accompanying
usage rates
usage charges.
that are shown on your spreadsheet. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Discussion.
So when the usage charges increase to,
The usage charges are up 15%. Based on what we discussed at the last meeting, and that then we cover our current upcoming, well, I guess now our current, we started in fiscal year today, so it's now our current fiscal year budget.
Yeah, because you raised it from 10% to 15, didn't we? The first page that you had last time we had a workshop, you
Yeah.
had 10%. Would that be a possibility? When you put the consumption rates back to 10%, but leave the service charge alone?
But am I seeing it right, the annual revenue of the Mueller is $274,4038, and our budget is $274,80, so it still
So
is
we're right.
like
It's
$39.
$40 difference, yeah.
Barely covered.
So
So to cover our budget, these rates that we talked about
We were
last
behind.
meeting cover our budget.
20,000.
Just.
Yeah.
Theoretically.
Yeah, theoretically.
Got to throw that in.
I mean,
I would just leave it like this.
before we're looking, if we make no adjustment, it calculates out that we would be a little over $40,000 short of covering our budget.
With a 233.
The 233 versus the 270.
So the water checking though has over 600,000 in it.
Didn't she say there was something
And
that
short
was,
at 20,000, or something she was short on 20,000 or something. Is that on the water? Or is that, remember? Yes, because it was 253 and I got a 274 that she should have had. And that's what you put on the second, this sheet now, it's 274.
So with water, you know, one of the things we don't want to use up, probably too much of our reserves with the water projects coming down the line as far as the reservoir and things like that. Not necessarily that that's gonna happen in this coming fiscal, in this current fiscal year, but. It's up to you, because you know I can't participate in the discussion. I can provide information to get it,
I mean, if our water check, let's say our water checking is zero, we're not even, we're just
Yes.
out of the budget.
We're right. Even. Yeah, 'cause the one that there's the way down.
So is there any more discussion, questions, comments on the motion? Hearing no other questions or comments, are you ready to vote? I assume you're ready to vote. All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say aye. Carried. Okay. We'll give this information to our city attorney to draft up the ordinance amendments for next meeting.
Okay.
All right, thanks. We're down to item number 15, reports. Kelly, what's going on in your world?
Spent some time with as far as water stuff goes, I think we're pretty much caught up on all that for now. We did end up losing, one of our pumps that pump water from the reservoir to town. We got somebody coming to get that fixed for us. We're at a point now where we're gonna start, switching over the electric, the overhead to the underground, under the south side of the school. We did just get, the line for the football field board in today, so.
I need what?
The board in, we had to rebore the primary line for the transformers for the football field, because they weren't deep enough for what they're doing over there.
We gotta cement that thing on, have swimming pool and
Ice skate.
ice skate.
Oh,
There you
tight.
go.
Yeah.
Oh, wait, say that's
There.
salty, yeah.
So we gotta get these,
So it's July now, so we have some summer projects budgeted, right? Some alley approaches and some pothole curb things. What are your thoughts on those things when we can get started on those? I don't want to short on time.
We were just talking about that today, and yeah, we're probably gonna start a few alley approaches here pretty soon. And, I'm talking, someone's gonna be coming here this week to ride around town and see what you wanna do for streets, or get numbers for streets and see what you guys wanna do, I guess.
Intersections and stuff.
Mhm.
We don't have anybody set up for this year, okay.
So these two, corners are really bad. Are they probably priority or?
Mhm.
So you're gonna have your regular guys, we got somebody new coming, or what?
Yeah, the regular guy.
Okay. Did you ever find out anything on the dirt thing? Or bunch of dirt,
The compaction rates, the
compaction, or if we ought to do anything? specific,
We don't have to do anything compaction wise,
the level?
it'll all get taken care of, but we may have to get a permit. I emailed the guy at the DNR today just to see how it goes, anything over a acre, you have to get a permit. But the one is 0.7 and the other one is 0.6, so I don't know how,
Two separate landowners.
right, so,
So you should be okay then.
that'd be all right.
I mean, we want to follow the rules, but
True.
that's.
Yep.
Were you guys able to paint the handicap signs down at the city park?
We plan on it, yeah.
Oh, okay.
We haven't done it yet, but yeah.
Anything from your perspective that came out of the Jamboree weekend that go okay with closing streets and?
Yeah, I think we were pretty good this year.
I thought it did. Fairly
This was
smooth.
the year I've gotten the least amount of phone calls, so we're doing pretty good.
Took your phone off the hook, or you shut it down for
Sorry.
what? We know what you're doing, Kelly.
How much time do you guys spend getting ready for the Jamboree? I mean, like setting up like the day of or the day before?
Oh, I don't know. Probably not a whole lot of time. We put up that tent panel in the park and then we gotta put out barricades and whatnot for everything and
You had all that done by Friday night, did you?
we
So
had
you
everything
didn't
set
set them
out.
up?
You know,
I thought that was good.
It worked well the last couple of years then.
Did you have to get extra garbage cans from Town and Country?
We didn't, we ended up just, we had some in where we have the tables and chairs,
Uh-huh.
so we just set those out.
Oh,
And then I just put them in my dumpster.
Sure.
Because the dumpster there is full, you can't get anything in there.
it's not full now, but yeah.
Oh,
It was.
Was,
it was.
okay.
Kelly, back to the water pump, is that something fixable or gonna have to change it out?
I think they're gonna, yeah, fix it,
Electrical type thing?
yeah.
Was it the pump or the motor or don't you know?
All the, I mean, the reservoir was probably 3-4 feet underwater, like all their pumps and everything were. So I assume the one that was running is the one that is no longer running.
Short it out,
Yeah.
okay.
And those guys will be coming fairly soon out there?
Yep. Sounds like they're pretty busy too though.
I'm sure.
There's towns that have no pumps, so I'm sure they're more high priority than we are, but yeah.
And ours aren't real old, right? All right, well, thanks. City
Yeah,
clerk
thank you.
reports, do you have anything?
Yeah, updating the ordinance book, I think like for revisions, because I know there's some like typos and stuff in the book.
I've got some pages for
Okay, so yeah.
If I don't mind entering.
Not bring mine in yet.
Yeah. So sometime this year.
You gotta bring yours in too, Jenny?
Yeah, eventually,
Yeah.
yeah,
Well, we need to get them sent, so
Yeah.
the gentleman can get started.
yeah.
I've got a lot of corrections
Do
in
you?
mine, but I think, yeah.
Okay, I didn't have much.
Yes. All right,
Sounds good.
let's see. Mayor, just want to give thanks to the Chamber and the Jamboree Committee. Great job, it seemed like it really went well, where they're cooperating.
Yes, it's beautiful.
Nice turnout. I don't know if we
It was one
ever
of the
get,
nicest weekends.
I don't know if we ever get an estimate of people or anything like that. It seemed like it was
There was
nice
a lot,
and full.
there was a lot there. Yeah. How did the car show go?
Good, there was about 8 or 9 cars
Okay.
there. It could have been better, but
Yeah,
we'll build on it next year.
yeah.
So is that the Saturday, on Saturday Jamboree Day? Or
Yeah.
are you involved in going at the lake as well on Thursday night, or that was a little rainy
Yep,
that
it
night?
was a little rainy, so we didn't have a very good turnout there, but
Yeah,
it was all right.
so it's fun to have, that's something to look at.
Just observing from the cameras, there was a lot of people.
It was.
that
And I was
didn't
really
recognize,
surprised, though.
That I didn't recognize.
Just
Oh,
with
yeah.
everything going on and around us.
Right.
Good. Well, again, thanks to everybody that put in so much time.
Oh, and I did stop to
Did
see
you
the
know who
lady
I
from
was?
Salzman,
On the horse
Yes.
and I told her how
Probably
much
not.
we enjoyed all their beautiful fireworks, and she
Yes, we
said
changed.
they were really nervous, but she said, I think it turned out okay.
A lot lot of people said it was probably the best show that
Oh, it
they've
was
seen for
gorgeous.
the, yeah, which is good.
Gorgeous. And she was taking, they were doing Ashton, or they didn't have to, but they were taking, Ashton was taking their fireworks. And I've heard comments on theirs was Sunday night. And I think she said they have, what was the next place they were going? Another, the Sandboard, of course,
Okay.
that'd be the next one.
Okay.
And she said they were very excited to do it, so.
Again, thanks. Let's see, at last meeting you mentioned that the school property, the street right-of-way issue with their North Campus building, they hadn't gotten back to us. Right as I was leaving to come here tonight, I saw an email come from Superintendent Riley. And so we'll get that out to you, we'll put that on our agenda. I just quickly, briefly looked at it, and they're gonna be asking us to take a look at that and to vacate that part of the street right away that the building is sitting on and to turn it over to them. So that's what their proposal is asking us to do. We'll send that information out so you can see the map and what they're saying there. So we'll put that on the next meeting agenda.
You got a good way to lower our utility costs. A little piece of land is pretty low.
It's probably the most piece, it's probably the most valuable piece that we have. So I'll throw that out just because we didn't have anything nearly in time to get that on the agenda. So that's all I have. Committee reports. Airport.
Okay. I don't know exactly what you all want to hear, but I'll just run over some things and then that'll probably generate some questions. In the 24-25 budget, there's line items for $32,370. So that's the budget that we're working with. In 2023, Ag State to the city was $18,861. So the issue becomes then is what we want to do with those different, or with the money that is budgeted, because there are some things that you guys can jump in whatever here, but there is not a piece of equipment owned by the city that has a power takeoff. The mower that the city does own is ran by power takeoff. So we're gonna have to look at getting some piece of equipment to run the mower, right? The mower is owned by the city, but the tractor, no, who has the mower?
Flying Club.
Oh, they do, okay.
The finished one?
The big mower, pull behind the power.
That is, the Flying Club owns that.
Oh, okay, I thought that, the city owned that, okay, so that changes things just a little bit, but you currently don't have a piece of equipment to pull that, right?
Marty's tractor,
Right,
currently.
currently, right, but that's something we need to work on too. We can talk about it.
I don't know that we need to work on that, but
Okay, well, we can.
it's up to
discuss
you.
it. Okay. Well, in the previous conversation, I had made a note in that regard, so we can talk about it.
Okay.
So another issue would be if there's additional wages on top of what our lump sum is. There's issue with possibility of a building. There's the issue of what Marty was explaining earlier, the slurry leveling project, which is if we do it while they're in, so the contractor's here, so they don't have to mobilize again, it's $15,500 on that. So that's where we're at as far as cost. I guess the biggest thing is if the council wants to do something with doing the slurry project on the runway. SLURRY. Which doesn't have to be decided tonight because they're not gonna be in till later on, right?
Not, kinda needs to be decided very soon.
Within the next
could possibly be here before that.
Okay.
We're trying to beat the spray guys.
Oh,
True.
If we're going to do it, I would like to give them opportunity before they even show up.
and that'll be about when?
It's usually the latter part of July,
Okay.
and they would have to prepare for us if we're involved. It could either be done before or after. They're doing Sue, Clay, and O'Brien, and Osceola, so they're gonna be here a while.
Okay.
Be nice to be done before, so the spray planes, assuming they're spraying this summer, can enjoy a nice smooth runway.
Okay.
Well, we don't have it on the agenda for tonight or action, so we'll definitely want to put it on the agenda for the next meeting, weeks from tonight. And so if you guys could put together a recommendation.
Okay. One thing I will mention is that in operating supplies and materials, there is over 15,000. So the money is there to do it, it just depends on what else we want to do.
Right.
So we'll try to have all that ferreted out by the next meeting.
When is the next meeting?
2 weeks from
Tonight.
15.
15th, yeah.
Okay, I thought it was on the agenda.
The one thing I throw in about is the money's there, though. 15,000 is basically a drop in the bucket compared to what the elevators have paid, so it doesn't seem like there should be any problem. I mean, the money's there, it's been there for a long time, and now is the time to use some of it.
We don't have a separate account for the airport, do we?
We just were
Well,
setting
that's
one
what
up,
she's
with Michelle,
Uh-huh.
a month ago, or a couple weeks ago, and we went back from 23, 22, 21, and 20, we found dollars for the sprays. And so she was gonna set up an actual airport account.
I
It
think,
was just kinda in
with
the
all
general.
that
yeah,
money in
council
there?
approval, you can set one.
Yeah, you'll have, but she had to find the monies first,
Mm-hmm.
so, because she didn't know where it all was. I mean, it was just
So you say 20?
20, 21,
20.
22, and 23 we found.
And that was my question this whole time, where was it?
That's what nobody knew, where it
Where
was.
did it end up going?
Goes
I mean,
in the
it's there.
General account.
Yeah,
It's in a general account, and it says spraying by it, or sometimes it'll say Ag State by it when I was looking at what she was finding.
and we really should be using that
But
money
it
for
needs
the
to go
airport.
to a specific account. And that's
Right,
So-
it never was
What we
an
have to look,
airport.
I think we have to look at is what are the total expenditures that the city is making
Right.
for the airport maintenance,
Yeah.
Right.
all inclusive, and what revenue we're coming in, and how much of it is being covered. Is it all being covered? If we put that money there, or is part of it being covered? And then being supplemented by that?
So was there no revenue then between 16 and 20?
we didn't look, I don't think, all the way back, but we did hit 19 and 18, and we weren't seeing anything.
I'm
And she got
remembering
busy.
it was about, and I'm just remembering it was about 20 that everybody went, oh my God.
Because that's when
And they
C
went
wasn't
back
bringing the
quickly.
dollars in.
And my recollection is Ag State ponied up quite a bit, but I don't know if the number was.
Didn't Marty mention that during the public forum? I think that they made up,
Supposedly, yes, and
so,
we just were writing down the dollars for the other day,
Sure.
so I didn't even stick around to total it. We just were looking for the dollars.
Maybe Ag State would be able to provide.
Yeah, they should be able to tell us what they paid.
So does the flying club pay anything to the city then?
Yes, in our lease,
Okay,
what is that? That's
What is
$50.
that?
$50 a
No, the
year.
lease is $1.
Oh, I thought we pay $50 for electricity. I think Jeannie's right.
Okay, yep, I think you're right, the lease is $1. And so like,
virtually not.
when the planes that are there, they pay something to be stored there or stay there? And
Yes.
that goes to you guys, the flying club?
Flying club.
Flying Club,
And what's that?
$30 per hangar.
Okay, per month?
Yes,
Okay. but that goes into your account.
Yes.
And so does the city own the buildings out there?
No.
None of the buildings,
None of the
The
buildings.
just the
terminal,
ground?
the terminal is the city's. The two hangars are this flying club. Marty has the farthest north hangar, and the flying club owns the fuel station.
Didn't you have, like, the budget last year was $60-some hundred,
Yeah,
and the elevator paid $18,600, so there's kind of like the surplus of, you know, roughly $10,000 a year at least, from what the city actually spends out of pocket versus what the airport generates.
he's bouncing back to that just a little bit, but that's what we're getting at.
I think what we really need is much more clarity on how that whole thing works. Who pays for what dollars are where, what's the city's total expenditures, you know, on an annual basis, what's the incoming revenue from the egg state? Because it just seems to be a real gray area there, we don't know what's going on, so it's hard to make a decision on, yeah, let's spend money because we have it, because we don't know what we got.
And is the flying club its own entity? It has nothing to do with the city then?
Correct.
You're a what, LLC or?
I think we're a 501(c)(3),
I-1C3?
yes, non-profit organization, I believe we are.
Okay. That would surprise me. Okay.
Is that how you do like the taxes every year under the 501c3?
I'm the wrong person.
Oh,
Brian Fish still does our
gotcha.
flying club treasurer position. And he is way smarter than, he's been doing it for 30 years. I can't answer that question, but I can. I'll find
Yeah.
out.
Sure.
Oh,
Well,
it
then
sounds
just
like we
get a
just need
printout.
some good information.
Yeah, just get
It'd be nice to know.
Yeah.
I can. I think better records need to be kept, but I believe that's on the city right now. If you would, I mean, we pay for the fuel, the flying club pays for the fuel to cut the grass, and the city has paid the operator over the years. It's been the exact same amount for, I don't know why Brian did that, Brian Fish. It's his choice, he was happy until the end. Moving forward, I don't know if you're gonna find somebody willing to do it for that, because it was also his tractor that was pulling the flying club's lawnmower. And so it's kind of a weird situation that we have to work through. But as far as the slurry and the crack sealing, I really think we should make a decision, and from what I know has happened over the last, we put a new runway in 2009. We have been collecting money, for a while, the flying club was collecting the money. The city didn't like that, that got changed into the city, and then that got lax and nobody was paying attention to it. One of our members passed away who was paying attention to that, and nobody realized that he was paying attention to that until we got caught up. To my knowledge, there was some back pay, but if you're looking at it from Thumb's view, we've been making $15,000 to $30,000 over the last 15 years, and nobody's can account for it because it's now going to the city and being put in the general fund. My suggestion would be we pull that out and at least make a line item. You can put it in the general fund, but we have to know that amount of money.
And
Yeah,
that's
we're-
what's
I-
gonna happen.
I think
Yes.
there's gonna be an airport.
That's why we went and looked the other day. We
Yeah,
found at least
last-
4 years.
Last year was 18,800, and we have crack sealed for about $6,000, and a couple years ago, we crack sealed for $17,000. It's probably been 5 years, but that doesn't equal what the income has been, even if you take out the $6,000 that you were paying for insurance. Cause I believe our budget for this, last year was 6,200 and change. So if you just add those together, the income has been around $270,000 and the outflow has been about $100,000 over the last 15 years.
In 21, you guys must have crack sealed, yeah,
Okay,
15,650.
that was crack seal, that was tarring the
09,
cracks.
yeah, 09 must have been when the.
This is way better, like the Gaza Blacktop, I don't know, and then south of town even. I don't remember how many years, but they put in that, what is it, mastic one, where it basically makes it smooth until the trucks pound it out again. But the Gaza Blacktop now is every, 100 feet, bang, bang. So I don't know if they'll do it this year or not, but that's what they do. They fill it in and it's smooth for quite a while, and the runway will be smooth longer because there's no traffic, heavy traffic on it. But it's better than just tar. Tar just seals up, but you still got the bump.
When is the lease up, do you know? Are you guys?
We just
doing
signed
one?
it. It's
Oh, you
20
just signed it.
No, 15 years.
15 years, okay. And
But
you
yeah,
just found
if
that
you just take
Yeah.
conservatively for
And that was
the last
21.
15
No,
years, that
21.
the elevators paid 15,000, there's $225,000.
I would say
in
21.
the city budget. It's not
Okay,
been-
so we didn't get back on track here, so nobody asked us to put an agenda item on for the airport for this particular meeting. We've got a budget, what do you wanna do as a council? Do you wanna,
We need a line item.
how do we make a decision and when on crack filling slurry or not, or when?
Is it something that has to be on the agenda, or if we're budgeted, if we have a, so Denny just told me the budget is 32,723, and we use 15,500 out of that to do the repair without having approval from the council.
It does make sense.
Like, makes
Theo-
sense to me, I guess.
Theoretically, I guess we can.
I mean,
Theoretically, yeah, theoretically,
I
yeah.
If we have enough money in the
remember
budget.
there.
Theoretically, that's our word for the day, yeah.
We probably haven't used anything out of it, well, not for this one anyhow.
I caution the council as we do have other issues out there that we need to
Amen.
look at. This and put
That
in
building
some
For
is,
one thing.
yeah.
That's why the dollars are in there that are. I mean, I would say that the council, from the information that I had, we didn't have that 32,000 budget at that number, assuming that the slurry filling was gonna happen. There were other things that were talked about to potentially, so we need to decide how to allocate those dollars. So much more.
I'm pretty sure that's the current budget.
You want us to look at it?
Or is it
It's
going to
by
mayor?
the-
Ah,
to
okay.
the mayor.
How far back can the city go to look at deposit slips? I guess that's how you do it. When somebody gives you money, you have a bank statement,
That's
don't
what
you?
she was doing the other day.
And, I got stuff from 2003 from my taxes and stuff. I guess I don't throw stuff
I
away,
think
but
we just stopped.
it seemed like wherever the elevator check got deposited, can't you even go back
You
15
could see it for
years?
23, 22, 21, and 20. I think she started looking at 19 and couldn't find anything, and looked at 18 and couldn't find nothing.
Those are the years.
So,
Those could be the makeup years that might have to
Those
look
were
for
the
some more in
years,
20
and I
or
can't-
whatever.
Can't go back to like 2009 and see what
I
they.
don't know, we didn't try
Yeah.
that.
Should be,
We should be able to.
to go back that far.
Yeah, so we just need to go back and see.
There's been serious spraying, for almost 20 years.
And I know I wrote it down when she was finding them. but I
Started
guess
out
we didn't even told her
Aphids
that day.
and then it changed.
Well, and she's maybe, I don't know if she took time to start on anything with that or not.
I don't think she.
All right, council, what do you want to do about this? Gene and Denny, what do you want to do?
What is the plans for that building out there? Do you guys?
We're not even concerned with that yet.
No, but if we're making a decision though,
Dollars.
to do the 15,000, are you guys needing that
Next
budget though for something else?
Well, the only thing that I was concerned about was the tractor, but it sounds like that's not an issue now.
I think,
Or a smaller
we can
issue.
fix
Yeah, I
that.
mean,
Yeah,
we have to.
okay,
That's one of the
with
things.
no money
So we're
involved.
gonna fix the front
Yeah.
end. And then we'll
That would have to
let's see what-
change everything.
Right.
I mean, we have to sell them over to the city then, probably.
Or we just rent a track to the city.
Yeah. Or we keep doing it the way we're doing it,
Yeah.
or I'll buy a tractor.
Yeah.
Continue to do it. I guess the big deal for us is smoothing it off.
Yeah.
But I don't have any plan for that terminal building in my mind.
If the runway's more important than the building.
Yeah.
Putting supplies and
This is
materials.
just a question,
that's
just
runway stuff.
out of curiosity, is there any airports that are private owned?
Sorry.
Like if you're flying
Don't
club,
wanna do that, right?
like,
No, we
or
don't want
city
to do that.
owned?
Because it
It's
creates
bad for
more issues.
grants.
Oh.
They're, Mary,
Even if you're a 501c3?
we don't own the runway.
But if it was, you know, I know
No,
there's some
it's
gray
mu-
areas with
They
the,
really want municipally owned. There are a couple private runways that I'm aware of. They're not gonna get state funds from the DOT
Sure.
to redo their runways or
but maybe
build
grants
I'm
that,
okay with
The
it.
grants have.
All right,
to-
hey, everybody, I think we have honestly spent, at the committee report level on here, we aren't getting anywhere, honestly.
Yeah.
We need to have some facts, we need to get some information. We need to decide, council, we need to decide, does the budget cover, can that $15,000 maintenance amount be spent on the crack filling? Or do we have something else in mind here? Or can it wait until 2 weeks from tonight to be ready to make that decision and then move quickly, depending on what you guys decide?
Where are those guys that you're looking at doing this? Where are they at right now? You know,
Coming this way. I don't know that they're here.
okay,
They're from east of Des Moines.
okay.
They're a crew that comes up and they're going to be working for O'Brien County.
Okay, but they haven't started yet, as far as you know?
I don't know that. They're doing the road on Geza and they're doing south of town. And I think they have other jobs in the area.
So you're hoping if you can talk to them and then say, if we decide to give that money, that you can get yours stuck in there at the same time?
That would be the plan. Otherwise it's $3,000
Or more.
mobilization. If we could do it anytime,
Oh, okay.
then they want more money because
I
they
see,
gotta show
sure.
up. If they're local, this is a half-a-day project for them.
Sure.
Okay, we need to move on.
But as a department head, I'm gonna chime in. You guys still have to make a decision. Like, you guys don't ask us you don't have to give us permission as the library to spend the money you've already allocated for us. I'm concerned that we're taking a department and saying they can't spend their money on what makes them operate, and you can't just move on. Cause it sounds like there's an urgent need here,
But we can't make a decision tonight if we don't have an action item on the agenda.
but it doesn't sound like you need one. I
Okay,
think
you
already
have a board,
established that.
Matt, you have a board that makes those decisions. That's a different organizational setup than what the airport is. You know, that's the reality of it. Yeah, I don't wanna hold it up, but we also can't overstep what we're set up to be able to do. You know, so you're accountable to the board and
Yes,
we
I'm-
approve the budget, the board decides how you're gonna spend that.
Yes. And I'm just trying to draw a picture to let you see the tools that you might be missing in your conversation, that you've already approved their budget. So then, is it such a far cry to let them spend their budget? And so, and that's your question to
But as
answer.
they said, when the budget was made up, it wasn't looking at doing this project.
But wouldn't it be the same as going out and buying a pair of gloves? They're still expending,
It's that,
except we've got $15,000 worth of gloves from that.
it says materials. To me, that's the slurry stuff.
I'd be comfortable making a decision,
I guess I'm looking for you guys to have that.
I guess I'd be
Would
comfortable.
it be up to the committee, or does the committee have to bring a recommendation to the council? How does that work? or could the committee just make that decision?
That's a really good question.
And the
We don't-
committee
we
is
don't
you
know.
and Deb making that
I
decision?
agree, if it's budgeted, they should be able to spend it.
Yeah, I mean,
That's where I'm kinda asked, what did
Yeah.
you
We
say
already
was the line
approved
items?
we already approved our budget.
Yeah, we approved the budget.
they
What's
just
the
want to be
line
able to
item?
do other things,
Yeah.
if that's what it came down to.
What's the line item you said, please?
I think that's legit.
Operating supplies,
Would it
materials,
be more
is
of
like-
an airport management informing you of their changes rather than
There is no manager.
requesting?
There is no current manager.
I mean, if you kinda look at it,
You're
like,
acting.
fire
I
just
have been
spent
asked.
$6,000 on pagers,
Yeah,
and that wasn't
You're
like
right.
listed in the budget
Yeah.
kind of a thing.
but as long as they're putting it in a
But they
certain line
didn't
item.
bring a recommendation to the council to have it approved. They just went ahead and did it.
Was it their
Yeah,
budget?
I think as
so
long as it's on the
Approve that
budget, it
Yeah.
should be okay.
I'm just,
I think it should be okay.
Yep,
I think it sounds like the council is comfortable, sounds like you're saying we don't have to approve it specifically line item because it's in the budget.
yep.
I
I
don't
agree.
think there's
I think
anything
that's the way we
totally
wanna
wrong
do it.
about that, so.
I mean, I think it's great that the communication's there and we know what you're doing.
Yeah,
Right.
Yeah, gotta maintain that, but otherwise, if it's within your budget, then you should be okay.
Should be good to go.
Then if something else
With that
arises, then
And I don't think
You
we
just
need
get this a committee report that hearing.
Committee report,
there
huh?
you go.
alright.
Okay,
Okay.
we gotta move on.
she's, yep.
Let's go get it.
Okay, so that's our airport committee report. I don't think we have any other committees here.
I'll call you and set up a time to get you in to run through this.
Next agenda item is our departments, police update.
Yeah, Jamboree this weekend, parades, we delayed a few minutes because they had some entries that discovered that the routes they thought they were gonna get to town weren't necessarily open, so we delayed a little bit. Otherwise, nothing was reported to me, any issues, and then we had the fireworks and traffic control afterwards, myself and the park ranger and the county deputy as well as ever. I think we seemed to have as many observers out there as any other year, so maybe even a few more, so.
I saw the Agrivision was full.
Yep.
And it was good to have your couple of them there that were directing traffic.
Good, thanks. Let's see, fire's not here, ambulance not here, library.
We're just wrapped up our month of June with some of our summer reading. We had a bumper year. We had a lot of people move through the library. We averaged between 70 to 100 people in the library every Wednesday for our summer reading. Last Friday alone, we had 137 people who showed up to visit the Zoomobile, which was insane. Like, we had people standing in the hallways trying to see. And we were really lucky that the O'Brien County Library Association sponsored that event for all the libraries in the county. We're pretty excited. I think I did report we did get our grant to improve the story walk. I'm happy I didn't put those out because they would have washed away.
Yes.
Half of them. So that was the same weekend.
You got them all done?
I've got everything prepared except the plexiglass has to be cut.
Oh, good.
So we will,
Nice to see that.
I'm giving Neil Chase a second to catch up because they've had a crazy week.
Cool.
So, but yeah, that's on my list for the holiday weekend to start
Good.
putting it out. So,
Good deal. And no rain.
on that question, do we have any updates on when we might have an open trail again? Like, or is that being investigated, or
Not 100% sure on that yet.
whoever put the rebar in that concrete did a great job. That's impressive. Yeah. So we will, our trail walk, our story walk goes out to the Dollar General, so like we can still put it up. And there's still people going back and forth, at least at Dollar General, and turning around. So we'll get that going. We're gonna try this month to organize bike safety before school starts, so you might be hearing from me, Nate, if you have any, yeah, of course you don't have extra time, but I might still ask you. And then we're gonna try and do an outdoor movie. We put that off, that was for the weekend that had the flood. So we're gonna try and do that sometime in July behind the library, so Kelly, I might be knocking on your door about the security light switch or something. And we might try and organize an event that goes with that, like a cruise night uptown. and maybe bring back Scoop in the Loop like we did in 2020. Just an idea our board was kicking around. And then yes, we're still working towards our reaccreditation. That's our theme for this year. So we'll be talking about things like, we have a lot of concerns like our sidewalks are settling away from the building. It's just kind of that time in its life. We're still talking about the air conditioning, and then our spacing needs. We're very taxed on what we can fit in the library, and so we've got a committee we're forming that's working on exploring how we adapt the building we have or potential options for another building if that's something we want to explore. So lots of irons in the fire, but we're excited about the things going on.
Okay, thanks.
There's a
Last one's
big
air-
building.
Last one's airport, we're not gonna go down there right
What was that?
I do have another point of discussion.
There you go.
Save it for next
now. Time's used up, sorry.
Yeah.
Yep, you're done.
All right, I would entertain a motion for adjournment.
I move we adjourn.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed, say aye. Carried. We are adjourned. 7:26.
It's the food truck.
Oh, it was so,
We did have it for.
yeah,